Good morning, Sieraaj.
Morning, David.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I've been making a load of videos where I've been driving with people and talking and interviewing them. And what I want to get from today is I want to hear your story around how addiction over 24 years impacted you in the workplace.
Okay.
And how my hope is that this story will help bring wellness into the workplace, particularly around substance abuse and addiction. And ultimately, addiction and mental health is a diversity issue. And the workplace doesn't really know how to deal with this stuff. And it's only through sharing our stories that we can kind of create wisdom and learning and healing from that. Because as you know, we have the treatment center, and people come in here and they get treated and they get better, but they then have to integrate back into their families and into the workplace environment. And there's often a dysfunction in the workplace that doesn't know how to deal with this. So I'm hoping by your story people can learn from your experience. So if you could just kind of share from the heart what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. Hello everyone. I'd just like to drive as we move around. It's a nice learning environment for me, and I hope it's going to be okay with you.
Absolutely.
Great. Let's go.
It will be.
All right.
Okay, so where do I start? What's come up for me, or what's been coming up for me ever since we chatted yesterday, and whatever, was this whole thing of non-acceptance. And
what do you mean by non-acceptance?
Non-acceptance around the fact that I was using and an addict. So not asking for help, the shame and the guilt. So that was very big for me. And if I think about, I mean, the first, and maybe this will be an experience to kick off the discussion, is I went to, my first experience with using was that I drove into Hillbrow one night with a few friends, and we got arrested on my first night, before I had my first line.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Well, there's a message. So
that was the message. Okay, but that didn't stop me. So what happened after that was I was convicted. I got a record, but I continued using up to leading to the trial. So I was basically on bail and I was still using.
What was your charge?
Possession.
Possession of what?
Of cocaine. So there were 2 grams in the car. They pulled us over, and I just went down because I wanted to be part of this group. So I said I was part of them, and yes, I got the conviction.
Yes, I got the conviction. You seem proud about that.
At that point I was.
How old were you then?
I was 31.
Wow.
So that was my first interaction with drugs. I didn't even know what cocaine looked like, to be brutally honest, but there I was. Anyway.
And were you a drinker? Were you smoking dope? Doing anything else before that?
I drank a little bit before that. And maybe dope once or twice. And then there was just this one Saturday night where I was asked to go with a group of guys to Hillbrow, and I was like, wow, that's awesome, thank you very much for inviting me.
So 31 years old.
31 years old.
You're kind of behaving like a naughty teenager.
Absolutely. And I think that also had to do with the fact that I was never a naughty teenager.
Oh, okay.
I was never a normal teenager that did normal teenager stuff.
Okay.
I always had this aura of perfection and wanting to be the best in school and the best grades and the best dressed, and it was all a false front, basically. So that was my first interaction with drugs, and then it just grew.
And then you
from
carried
there.
on.
I carried on, and then I went on to the whole H2O scene. So it was more the ecstasy and acid.
So this was
Yeah.
like reclaiming your lost childhood.
It was, in a way it was, and it was really good at that point.
Okay.
You know, I enjoyed the drugs. Must be honest, I really
How
did.
long had you been working?
I had
at
been
that?
working for 10 years.
So you've been in this
I've
corporate
been in
for
the
10
corporate
years.
for 10 years.
So there's a lot of kind of institutional capital there, a lot of experience, a lot of. So you're kind of 31 years old and now you want to party.
Correct. So from 21 to 31, I was addicted to my job. So I worked maybe
Oh, okay.
16-hour days. I worked through the night on weekends.
Okay. What were you doing?
Pension administration. So
Okay.
it was pension administration. It was.
Why did you work so hard, by the way?
I was addicted to my job. I had nothing else.
I had nothing else. Okay.
I had no social life. And Alexander Forbes was me. I honestly believe that gave me my worth.
Okay.
It gave me my worth.
So it gave you meaning and purpose.
It gave me meaning and purpose, and I just worked until 31, where I discovered this whole new party life. But coincidentally, it also happened around the time that my mum was diagnosed with critical illness.
Okay.
Okay, so I think part of it was.
Is your mother still alive?
No, she passed on, but
Okay. I'm
that
sorry
was
for
the
your loss.
years she was really ill, and it was kind of an escape from me from home, because I didn't want to be around her being ill.
Okay.
So like going out with friends during the week and doing my thing, and then that grew progressively. I started using more drugs.
Did you talk about this stuff to your employees?
To my employees.
To
No,
your employer?
No.
Did you let them know what was going on?
not at all.
Would it have been helpful had you been able to?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I could very early on have accepted being an addict. It would have given-
But they wouldn't have been able to diagnose you. Because you would have been in the early stages, you were just having fun, you wouldn't have thought you were an addict.
No, for sure, but later on, if I had discussed it openly,
Okay.
it would have created a forum where I could be myself.
Great. Okay. So the thing with addiction is it's a personality. It's got nothing to do with the substance,
Yeah.
which is one of the myths that need to be broken. So there's a lot of people in the workplace that have the addictive personality
Correct.
that don't necessarily take drugs, but the way that they behave is in an addictive way, which is beneficial for the organization
Okay.
in the short term. In the
Correct,
long
so-
term, it's a fuck up.
Yeah, so I can see how my addictive personality was helpful to the organization early on in my career. Because and this was a comment that comes to mind, was one of the directors said to me, like later on when I was really into active quite hectically, he said, 10 years ago you were not this person, you were a model employee.
Okay.
So that kind of just caught my attention now when you said that. So, and prior to that, I was addicted to my mom.
Okay.
Okay. there was also a lady that I worked with, and when I started working there, I was addicted to her.
Okay, so let's say codependent.
Codependent. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Great.
So there was that history of codependence. There was, and then the drugs I just progressively used more. And there was never a time, I mean, I used and not able to tell my employee or my employer what was going on was like really a hectic shame and guilt for me.
So this is the purpose of these conversations, is to try and break the shame and the stigma and the guilt around it.
Okay.
So keep going, you're doing great.
Up to a point where on the day of my hearing, okay,
like a disciplinary hearing?
I was high as a kite.
Good for you.
I was. It wasn't funny that day.
No, I'm joking because
no,
it's
that's
like
right.
it's a nightmare. That stuff.
I mean, that was a nightmare. And I stood at the Gau bus station at Brightwater Commons, because that's where I took the bus to go to work. And I stood there for 45 minutes, petrified to get on the bus.
Oh.
I eventually get on the bus, and I drive in the bus to Sandton and back again, and I'm like 50 minutes late.
Oh, what a nightmare.
For my disciplinary hearing.
Oh, nightmare.
I dropped my stash in the car where it was parked at Brightwater, and I go into this disciplinary hearing, and I can't focus on anything.
Oh, what a nightmare for you, and what a nightmare for them.
I can't focus. I could do nothing. I was so helpless.
What were you using then, by the way?
I was using cat.
Cat. Okay. There's a lot of cat in the workplace nowadays. That like drugs always kind of go cyclical.
Okay.
So different drugs of choice in different areas.
Okay.
So you're sitting there. You're high as a kite. You're at a disciplinary hearing. You've got all these corporate roles around you, like HR and your manager and all that. You've got a discipline. Was industrial relations then?
There was an outside mediator.
Okay.
So they called in an outside mediator, and I was there to present my case, which I had prepared for, but I just didn't know how to present it. I was just helpless, and that happened. But at that point, even up to that point, I did not confess to taking drugs. So I was.
How would you have presented it in hindsight?
In hindsight, so the charges against me was aggressive behavior in the workplace. Okay. And it was based on a comment that I had made. I'd thrown my phone down, and I had said, "I will kill the people in this place." Okay, and
You're mad.
yeah, and they presented that as a threat to the people within the organization, and they obviously had witnesses come in.
What were they meant to do? I mean, you say like everyone knows you're on drugs, even though nobody says it.
Yeah.
You throw your phone down. Yeah. You
Yeah.
get angry and say, "I'm going to kill everyone."
Yeah.
I mean, the stigma around is they most probably thought this guy's gone psycho. He's going to come in with a gun.
Okay.
Yeah, you're Muslim as well.
I'm Muslim.
So you got all that projection as well.
Yeah, so
here's this kind of psycho suicide bomber that's going to come into the workplace.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah.
It's horrible, huh?
It was horrible.
It's horrible for everyone. It's horrible for them too. Because they all feel awkward. And then they just want to get him out. Get him out.
Yeah.
And yet you've had so much work experience there. So everyone loses.
Everyone loses.
Yeah. Okay.
So ultimately, that took all of half an hour, and I was ejected.
Ejected.
I was ejected, and that was it.
Where did that leave you?
It left me isolated in a way. It left me like my world was crumbling around me, and Alexander Forbes was a big part of my world. It was huge.
That was your 24th year of being there.
So it was huge from that perspective.
That's sad.
But also the social interaction with the people there just disappeared within a day.
So that was your life.
And that was it. Okay. And then I went home. I went back to the car and I used again.
Well done. Even after that?
Even after that.
Did you think you had a problem then?
I knew I had a problem then.
Okay, but you didn't know how to get help.
I didn't know how to get help. And at that point I didn't know if I really wanted the help.
Okay.
You know, I was lost.
Huh?
I was lost and I was hopeless. And I thought that this is going to be it. And I didn't think it could get any worse. And then it did. So
it got worse after that.
A month after that.
Jesus, what's going on here?
A month after that.
Check, it's all it's the president and his people.
Yeah.
Whoop,
There we go.
whoop, whoop, whoop. Very important meeting.
Very,
very
very important.
They're suffering with addiction, and government. A whole country suffers with addiction, and a whole country suffers with the shame of it. And like alcohol's a big problem here as well. Sorry, yeah. So I just like, I mean, everyone suffers with this problem. It's not like Alexander Forbes or any of the banks, or like it's impacting us at all levels. And we're trying to share our stories to make a difference. So sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Then, like a month later, it was my daughter's prize giving at school, and I used the morning leading up to the prize giving. I went to the prize giving high. I then dropped her off and a mom at home, and I went out for the rest of the day, and I used that whole night. I was broken. I was totally broken. And then I phoned home at about 11 o'clock the night to say I need help and I need another treatment center.
Okay.
So I went into a treatment center.
Okay.
The next day, I actually got the treatment center to pick me up at home. Nobody took me in. I phoned. So I took myself in, and when I came out of treatment, I came home to an empty home. My wife, we had gone through a divorce while I was in treatment, and I just came home to this emptiness. So everything was gone. Everything was gone. There was this room and this bed in the room, and like half the furniture was gone, and I just sat there alone. And I used for a month after that, until it got to a point where I was sitting alone in a dark room, and the choices were simple. It was take your car onto the highway and drive it into a barrier and pretend like it was an accident, because I didn't want to say that I committed suicide. So I would rather go out by accident. So I was planning this thing, or like just accept where I was and just.
And what was that?
I was an addict that needed help.
Okay.
And
So you were a sick person.
Very sick person. I was
Okay.
sick. At that point I realized I was a sick person. And funny enough, 2 days later I opened a book and I started going to NA meetings, and there was something in there that said, is this a moral deficiency or a disease? And it's a disease, not a moral deficiency. And that was like the most revealing sentence I ever read in my life.
Okay.
Because for once I
Can hear the relief in your voice.
For once I could just, and I realize now that it's not what people think about addiction. It's what I feel as the addict.
Okay.
So if I feel I have got a disease and I'm sick, and that belief is within me, then I can get help.
Okay, cool. So is that saying we're not responsible for our illness, but we are responsible for
our recovery?
And which is the same for any illness, whether it's high cholesterol, diabetes, and this is really where recovery coaching goes, is it works in the paradigm of wellness.
Correct.
And this is the sort of stuff that we want to take to the workplace environment in the form of recovery coaching, which is solutions based. But addiction is such a stigmatized issue, it's really difficult. Because if you had diabetes or something and you went into hospital for your sugar levels and you came out and you ate a chocolate cake, people aren't going to freak out as much.
For sure.
Yeah, because of the stigma.
But like right through my active using, like secrets kept me sick.
Okay. So you needed a place to talk and to unload that stuff where you kind of felt safe. Good. Non-judged, not threatened, cared for.
Yeah. Firm but cared for.
Firm.
You know, that like I think if there was too soft, I would just continue using. There was no.
Yeah, I got it. So it's not like that lovey-dovey therapy stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, listen here, these are the facts, this is the reality, this is what's going on for you.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
No, for sure.
Okay.
So
It was a nice sigh.
I'm thinking of what way to go next.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the solution.
Okay. So the solution for me has been like opening that door to say I am an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But let's rather say I'm in recovery.
I'm more than an addict.
Of course you are.
I'm more than an addict.
Oh shit, we should have turned it up. All right, well, it's fine.
I'm more than an addict, and I feel like I'm in recovery now.
Okay. So recovery's claiming of the physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual part of yourselves. You recover everything back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm feeling that. I feel spiritually, I've moved, and it, in a way.
So just for clarity, I don't want people to think that this is a religious solution. A spiritual solution is the type of way that you show up in the world is like with honesty and integrity and with truth, and whereas addiction is about lying and deceit and hiding and shame. Yeah? So you kind of walk in the light, whatever the light is for you.
Correct.
Because a lot of people think, religion is a solution to addiction.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. For some people, but not for everyone. It's not a moral issue only.
Okay, so maybe I should touch on the religious things.
Okay,
right?
great.
So, from a religious perspective, when I was using, now purely religion, if I take purely religion, so I come from a Muslim background, so
It's haram.
it's haram, but besides that, I would get up in the morning and I would just go and pray.
Okay.
That, like, like help me, because I cannot, I don't use these drugs anymore. But going to mosque did not stop me from using drugs. Okay.
How did it help you to use drugs?
In the morning, early in the morning, like our morning prayers, the Fajr prayers, I would use that time to get out of bed early in the morning so that the wife wouldn't be aware that I was using.
Okay, so it was a nice cover-up.
It was a cover-up.
Okay, and on a Friday mosque at lunchtime, popping out at work.
A Friday, you're 100% right, because there was a 2-hour lunch, so I could go and pick up from 12 o'clock, and I could get back at 2 o'clock, and in between those 2 hours,
under the guise of,
under the guise of being
so manipulative.
And I mean, there were even days of Eid, and like our Christmas celebration is Eid, where I would not go to mosque in the morning prayer. I would go and pick up. So like, religion didn't stop me from using drugs.
No, it assisted.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
And and these are one of these kind of complex issues that in a dysfunctional environment you can use to kind of take the environment hostage.
Right.
Like, you can't stop me going out from Friday lunchtime to school because I'm a Muslim. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's or with alcohol, it's part of my Christian culture to drink wine or whatever it is.
Okay, so I manipulated that. Now that I think I've manipulated that pretty well.
Cool.
And yeah, so the spiritual thing for me was defining my higher power. Okay, and finding that love and acceptance and warmth and sincerity and honesty and integrity around who I am, and that has been like, I can have conversations with my higher power now that's like in truth and authenticity, and it's not just based on religion, like a studied religion. So yeah, the spiritual growth for me has been phenomenal in recovery. It's really helped me. So
another nice. Okay. Let's talk about your new career that you're doing now.
New career, recovery coaching.
Yeah. This is where you save yourself. This is where, like, the whole idea of recovery coaching someone like you is the trauma of your recovery, the trauma of your addiction becomes an asset that makes you a skilled individual that has a skill set, a unique skill set that is marketable in the workplace to create a better workplace environment. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so with my 24 odd years of experience within the corporate environment and understanding how people and teams operate, okay, I have that skill set to be able to assist addicts, okay, in creating the awareness.
So let's just change the name to substance misusers.
Okay.
Because now this is becoming kind of a politically correct thing as well, and with all kind of stigmatized or marginalized voices of mental health.
Okay, so substance abusers. So create the awareness within substance abusers, misusers of where they are, okay, and where they would like to be.
Right.
And my unique skill set around how an organization works, or politics within the organization, and the stigma around addiction, and my own experience, like, puts me in a really good position to be able to assist.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to working with you and to kind of going off and doing this work. And it's a skill set that is a professional skill set. And I mean, I know you know this, I'm just saying it for the viewers out there.
Yeah.
And that it's not about an isolated, just sending one person into an organization. The idea is that first of all, your skill set is you're going to be supervised, and there's going to be case management around it, or there is case management around it. And what we do is we go in and create a systemic change. So as these conversations happen, the system starts to change. So we need to build relationships with kind of the HR manager, the EAP providers, the wellness providers, the medical aides, and the executive in terms of what their strategy is and how they need to deliver. Because like a homogenized workforce, creates better outcomes. It's just better for business, and but it takes work, it takes courage to be able to do this work, and sometimes there's a dip because it's uncomfortable to bring this stuff into an organization to transform the workplace. And you being a Muslim male that has this experience has a great asset, and what you've been taught to do is how to have a professional facilitated conversation, engagement around that, which you get paid for, and that's a profession around it. Okay. So is there anything you'd like to say in closing to your work colleagues, or to corporate South Africa, or to your family, or to anyone, just around sharing your story?
I think for me, my like personal vision for myself is like a transformation from my trauma story to something really positive.
Right.
And I want to share that with corporate South Africa. So that's it for me.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and I guess this isn't just for corporate South Africa, this will be for the families and anyone else that's kind of watching this sort of stuff, because addiction doesn't discriminate, and